change when I really hit the field. Undefeated chance, man, you know what's the deal. Trying to find a kid, I'm in a field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' play run it back, okay? Always locked in, now got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check the stats. Boy, is you ready? You ain't gotta ask. I just really hit the field. 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 Boy, I'm about to hit the field.
And welcome back to another episode of the Hitting the Field podcast. It's your host, Jeremy Brener, and we are back after, it honestly feels like a month, but it's only been like a week. But that's just how long this week has been. But it's good to be back in the booth talking some NFL Combine. Yes, the Combine starts tomorrow, and it goes through Sunday, and we're going to try to break it down as much as we can over the next hour. Can't do this by myself. As always, need a village, a team to go through it on the HTF podcast. And starting today on the far right, it's Mr. John Whitley. John Whitley, how's it going, brother?
In a little bit of a funk with this weather, but
yeah,
but at the same time, like, I'm fired up. We get to talk some football here in February.
Yep, football February, fired up. I can think of a lot of F words right now that I'm really wanting to say, but
well,
it's good.
Hey, let's not.
Some maybe not. Some, yeah. And then we also have the man in the middle, Mr. Chris Wolf. How you doing, boss?
I'm doing good, man. I always love to talk about football. I'm getting ready to. I want to defend my boy from the University of Oregon.
Yes,
Gonna defend him.
Yes, we'll get to this man from Oregon and a lot of people in the next hour or so. But let's talk. Okay, so the Combine's kind of interesting in its origin because it obviously hasn't been around for forever. It's about almost 20 years old. But it's amazing to me, like, how much coverage it gets just to see people doing generic drills. And that's pretty impressive. But Whitley, I know you've played football, so I want to get your insight. How important is the Combine and to be able to work on these drills? Like, how much does it, like, does it affect the stock of these people too much?
I think yes and no. I think for the mean of these athletes, it's not really going to have much effect at all. Like, it's the NFL, they're all good athletes, but I think there's going to be some guys, like we've seen over the years, we've seen like a Byron Jones shoot to a first-round stock because of how he performed at the Combine. Yeah. Same thing with DK Metcalf last season. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a few outliers that are really going to have an opportunity to boost their stock. And then I think on the other side, there's some guys who can really plummet. Like every year we see a guy fail a drug test at the Combine when you know you're going to be drug tested. So finding out who these guys are as a person, the character concerns, is actually what this week is more important for even than the physical attributes.
Is like the interviews and stuff, because that's the part that you don't see on camera. It's the part you really don't see, and that still, I guess, kind of creates like the exclusivity of it all. Like, it's probably the most, other than I'd say the draft, probably the biggest sneak peek that you get into like the inside look of what a team actually does off the field. And I guess maybe Hard Knocks, but I mean that's a different thing. But Chris, I guess I'll toss it to you now. Combine, we've seen it affect people positively. We've seen it affect people negatively. But do you think that it has? I'm going to ask you the same question as Whitley. Mm-hmm. Does it affect stock too much, too little, just right? Baby bear, just right?
I think it affects like I think it affects stock. I think a little bit too much, because yes, like you get to see what they are capable of doing, like physically, like routes, their speed, quickness, strength, all that, like verticality and all that. But I think it affects it too much is because this is all in t-shirt and shorts. This isn't on the field type thing. So it's like they're showing what you could do just without that, and I think it doesn't show you everything what they can do. Some
Yeah.
people are really good just in the whole uniform and doing the actual thing in like the 7-on-7s with like pads, or even just in like 11-on-11. I think it needs to. I think it's a little bit overboard, in my opinion.
I mean, yeah. I look, it is, because I think it has such a grandiose media presence as well, and media can oftentimes affect, as we know as journalism students, that it can positively affect something or negatively affect something. It can really dictate how a thing goes, and this is pretty crazy because draft stock does change for combine, and money is on the line. Like your draft position affects your money. If you're a first round pick, you get a 5th year on your contract possibly. Versus if you're pick 32, you get that 5th year option. If you're pick 33, you don't get that 5th year option. So there is a big part about the combine. People hire quarterback coaches, sprinting coaches, strength coaches, specifically for the pre-draft process, and it's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, and if I could add to that, I think also it's like with having that media presence there, plus having all the NFL execs.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and I think it's really where it's more where we just find out more about how these NFL execs feel about these athletes, more than it's like these athletes boost or plummet their stock. And even outside of the draft, we find out how some of these NFL execs are feeling about free agency and upcoming roster decisions. So I think just the biggest impact of it is just having all these big-time NFL execs there in one place.
Yeah. So let's get started on some people that aren't participating in the combine. Most notably, Joe Burrow is not participating in the combine, and Chase Young. The two arguable best player on offense and the best player on defense in the draft, arguably, possibly, probably the top 2 picks in the draft. Is it smart for the two of them not to perform at the draft, at the draft combine, or is this something that, hey, like, because I mean, look, they're projected to be the top 2 picks. They know they're projected to be the top 2 picks. So is performing here like a negative thing for them, just because you could possibly put some bad film on when everyone's watching, and that might hurt your stock? Like, do you think that's why they're not here at the combine performing, or is it a different reason?
I mean, it potentially could. To me, I like when people do the combine, even if you're gonna be the number 1 pick,
like
or
Myles
number 2
Garrett.
pick.
Was Myles Garrett? Did he work at the combine?
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and that year Myles Garrett was the number 1 pick, and there was not much debate behind that.
I just think that for Joe Burrow not to do it, I'm not saying it's a dumb decision, but it's tiny surprising because he only has 1 year of film, of real good film in college on
Burrow.
He only has one year.
It might be the greatest year of film ever.
Of great film. It's just like his previous year, he was average at best throwing the football. He made such a great leap. That was one of the greatest leaps I've ever seen in any level of football ever, from 1 year to the next. I would have just loved to see him at the combine to see was it really a fluke, or is he really still like this good? Like is he still this good at it? As for Chase Young, I could see it because he had an injury last year, and he had an injury, and he also, and you may not want to risk one potentially, though,
because you could pull a hammy during your 40 and it could be over for you.
Oh yeah, and that's definitely true. And it's also, I've also seen Chase Young at number 2. It's not as locked as Joe Burrow at 1.
Yeah,
because the Redskins have actually they are talking to both. They're talking to both Burrow and Tua. So, and it's not just due diligence. They actually are
allegedly
they're potentially.
Yeah, and I think that's right, because I think if you turn on if there's no durability concerns and you turn on just the film, I think Tua looks like the better prospect. Although I do think it is smart for Burrow not to work out at the combine, and same thing with Chase Young, because when you're the 1 and 2 spots, there's really no room to boost your stock
Yeah.
from there, and then you can just wait till your pro day where you control all the independent variables. You're throwing to receivers that you have chemistry with, you're used to throwing to, and you can perform there.
Yeah. Another person that is not going to be at the combine that has been rising up draft boards is South Carolina defensive tackle Javon Kinlaw. Now, I know when we did our first HTF mock draft, he was around the 20s. In the past couple weeks, though, he's shot up draft boards, but he's not going to be at the combine due to injury. So, what do you think? I mean, I don't know what your guys' idea is about Kinlaw, how much you've seen of him. You know, is it going to hurt him? Is he going to continue to rise? Is he going to fall down possibly with him not participating at the combine?
I think since it's due to injury, it's not like he didn't want to do it. It's just because he's unable to. He still has a pro day. He's still going to have like representatives from some of the teams there to watch him. Probably high, like toward the top like 12, 15 picks. Like a lot of those execs, and you also have maybe ones lower because they trade up. I don't think it was a bad decision. I don't think it's going to hurt him that much as long as it's not like. As long as he's not having, like, consistent injuries. Like, is this just a fluke thing? Or is it lingering and he's, like, not going to get healthy? He's not getting healthy. That's the one thing.
Yeah.
Fluke is one thing. Consistent injuries is another thing.
Yeah. I want to talk about the defensive line prospects first, just because we're here with Kinlaw. But last year's defensive line class, very strong. A lot of defensive linemen went in the first round, especially that top 10, Quinnen Williams, Nick Bosa. A lot of those guys were early picks. This year, it's not that way. Chase Young, also defensive line, I guess. Yes, yeah, he's a defensive end in the NFL.
Edge.
He's an edge. But yeah, I want to focus more on the defensive side of the ball because I want to leave more time for offense later on. But what do you guys think about the defensive line, and who needs to step up? Really, it could be an early pick, it could be a mid pick, it can be a late pick, just someone that you know possibly that you think is the best lineman in the draft kind of thing. But who do you think needs to step up the most, or who has the most to gain / lose in this defensive line group? And I guess I can start us off. You know, we've seen a lot lately from Derek Brown, I think. Mm-hmm. And I think Derek Brown could go as early as 4 to New York. I think that he really is good enough to be a top 5 pick. He has the tangibles. He has the stuff. And I think he's being not slept on, but slept on. Because I think a lot of teams earlier in the draft are going to go for need, and he could be one of those guys just sitting there that you just take because that's the best player available, and you're getting your defensive tackle for the next, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. Mm-hmm. I really like Derek Brown in this draft, guys. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
I agree because I think you can get a good value with him because he's not a guy, and there isn't a guy.
He's a safe pick.
Yeah, there's not a guy in this class where you're like, that is a surefire all-pro defensive tackle. Like we had last year with the Quinnen Williams. Mm-hmm. So I think, I think the question with him is, does he have enough power to be an elite defensive lineman in the NFL? But I think I agree. I think somebody's going to get a really good value with him.
Yeah, so NFL.com is comparing him to Chris Jenkins. He's been in the league a very long time. So it's a decent comparison. Could he... it says all pro ceiling, good starter floor. It's a decent pick.
Yeah, that's really good. But
is there? So yeah, defensive line. Other than Derek Brown, is there someone else that you're looking out for, really, Chris?
AJ Epinesa.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's talk about him a little bit. Epinesa.
I loved him. He was incredible for Iowa last year. That was a really good defense, and I think he's someone you should not sleep on just because he plays for Iowa. Or it's a Big Ten school, but it's like, okay, it's Iowa. Not a ton of publicity.
Big Ten. I mean, the Big Ten prides itself on defense.
Yeah, and he's I believe was the second. You can make an argument second or third best. I mean, Gross Matos is another one.
Mm-hmm.
You could say is a pass rusher. You could say is good, but other than Chase Young, you can make an argument that Epinesa was the second best D-line / edge person in the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a great pick for somebody, especially because I think he is going to slip a little bit just because of needs. Like Derek Brown, I think he will slip because of needs. And I look at him and he plays in a NFL type system. Iowa, it's like an NFL type system, what they run there. Mm-hmm. And I think that's going to help a lot. That's going to help a lot. And I also, he's very athletic. He is quick off the edge. I mean, he just had a heck of a going out game against USC when he just dominated the game, on the edge. That was a statement game for him. Even though he was already projected as a first-round pick, I thought that game was big. I mean, he was getting off the edge. I mean, he had multiple sacks. He had forced fumbles. He was all over the place. USC had no answer for him at all. And I think that boosted his stock a little bit. Even though USC is not the greatest team, when you have games like that in bowl games, that's why you play in the bowl. That's why you play in the bowl game sometimes. Yeah. I mean, for those type of moments
to boost your stock. Whitley, what about Yetur Gross-Matos? What do you think about him or anybody else that could challenge Epinesa possibly?
Yeah, I think he's got a really great, just kind of power and speed combination. I think he's got a lot of moves in his arsenal. The consistency hasn't quite been there with him. In bringing it back to the interior defensive line, I'm really excited to see my guy Roquan Davis from Alabama. Mm-hmm. I think because of some of his inconsistency in college, scouts don't really know what to make of him at this time. I've seen him going anywhere from first round to third round. Even some people have him as slip into a day 3. But I think because of his athleticism and his size, 6'6", 311, I think a great combine showing by him could really boost him back to an established first round pick.
Yeah. NFL.com compares Raekwon Davis to DeForest Buckner.
It's a pretty good.
I can see it because he's got that. He's extremely mobile for an interior defensive line.
Yeah, I think I think this defensive line class could actually be really good. I think there's a lot of good mid picks in there, but a lot of guys that I think you're gonna regret if you don't pick them.
I agree. I mean, this draft class for D line, it's full of backup / maybe bubble starters. It's full of solid players. There's that tier of excellence, but then I don't really see that tier 2 of really good, great. I think it's a drop off from being really good, elite, kind of great, to being just good, with potential, with a ceiling if they exceed expectations, and watch out for people from Florida too, Jabari Zanuga and Jonathan Grenard. Those two were really good last year. They're really talented. Maybe didn't show on maybe an injury. Zuga is one person that if he wasn't injured a lot, he would be higher on the boards. He's like a day 2, day 3 pick right now because of injuries. He didn't play much last year, but he's talented enough to be a first, second round pick.
Yeah. The D line and the linebackers don't go until Saturday. But let's move on to the offensive side of the ball, because I feel like the combine is meant for the offensive side of the ball. That's what we're really looking forward to. And I mean, offense. That's what the people want to see. Offense is what people want to see. So let's give the people what they want. I guess we'll start off with quarterbacks, because there is a lot to talk about with quarterbacks. It's a very interesting quarterback class, especially considering the fact that next year it's very likely quarterbacks go 1-2 with Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. So teams are, posed with the question this year: do you go for a quarterback this year, or do you wait until next year? And there are some good quarterbacks here, but the thing is, if Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields were coming out this year or in this draft class, they would be in the top 3 with Joe Burrow. Mm-hmm. And I honestly could argue those 3 in any order, to be honest.
Certainly
one,
Lawrence. I think
1A, 1B, 1C.
I think 2 is right there. I think 2
is right behind.
I think you have 4 legit number 1 overall picks right there.
I mean, it's reported today that NFL execs have checked out his hip. They feel good about it.
Okay, yeah.
All signs are checked with the hips. It's a matter of
let's talk Tua.
Yeah, let's talk Tua.
So Tua Tagovailoa, he is going to be at the combine. He is going to participate. Mm-hmm. I don't believe he has any limitations. Is that correct? Do we know this?
So he's not working out at the combine.
Okay,
team doctors are just looking at him at the combine, which they already have. Everything checks out good. They like what they see. Then he will work out at his pro day.
Okay, yeah. Save it for the pro day, because the pro day, like you mentioned, John, it's like it's very. You manipulate a lot of the variables. Instead of the combine, it's the NFL manipulates a lot of the variables. So yes, there is a difference here. But I mean, look, Tua not performing at the combine, is that going to hurt him?
I don't think that's what's going to do it.
That's not what's going to do it.
I think.
Well, I'll phrase this question differently. Because he's not there, and guys like Herbert, Jordan Love have chance to boost their stock, right, that it might over. Because the thing is this: if QB3 and QB4 in this draft is a huge drop off, QB2 and QB3 could very easily be a huge drop off too. We don't know how many teams are going to take quarterbacks.
I actually think this is a really, really deep quarterback draft.
It is.
But I think the fourth guy, which Jordan Love, Justin Herbert, could potentially have a better career than Joe Burrow, the first guy. I mean,
I'll ask this question. In 5 years, when 5 years after their 5-year contracts are up, who will still be a starter out of this class?
That is extremely tough. I think it just depends on which quarterback goes to what team. That's my thing.
Well, I mean, okay, but also Chris, it doesn't necessarily. They don't necessarily have to be for that team. It just needs to be a starter. So like they can go 5 years with their team and then go find a starting job somewhere else. That to me is considered a starter after 5 years.
I would say
who will be a starting quarterback in 2025 out of this class.
Yeah, I think Burrow certainly will. I think Jordan Love certainly will.
Really?
Yes, I've been getting in the film on him. I really like him.
Yes.
And then I think Herbert and Tua, as well as I think Jacob Eason and Jake Fromm potentially could too.
So,
but I think Tua and Herbert have the most question marks.
Right now, yes, you're looking at guys that can be, mm-hmm, but in reality, mm-hmm, they all won't be.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Look, the only quarterback class that I can think of that has been really good, that has had multiple starting quarterbacks, is that 2012 class. I really can't think of another class that did not have that same a high volume of starters that are still currently playing.
Because you still have right now 3 of them are, because Kirk Cousins, Russell Wilson, Tannehill.
Russell Wilson, Tannehill, Andrew Luck was a starter 5 years out.
It's not the guys that we thought it would be.
No. Case Keenum, I think, was in that class too.
Yep, and he
or maybe he was 2013. I'm not sure. I'll check.
In case Keenum, he went to an NFC Championship, so he started some years too. So.
But here's the thing, and let's be very clear: is Tua, it's the tale of two cities with him, because you turn on the tape and it's sure thing starter. I would say probably the number 1 pick. But then the durability, we haven't seen him have a healthy season. He's always coming back from injury.
And that 2012 class.
That's what happened to Andrew Luck. He just could not stay healthy. He was great, but he just couldn't stay healthy.
So the 2012 class, 5 years after the fact, had Andrew Luck, Ryan Tannehill, Brock Osweiler, Russell Wilson, Nick Foles, Kirk Cousins. That's 6. That's probably the most.
Remarkable.
That's probably the most that we've seen.
I mean, I know we've still got Watts. I know it's so early, but it looks like
Watts, if you look at the 2013 class, zero. That was a historically bad class for quarterbacks. A lot of them are actually playing in the XFL. BJ Daniels XFL, Landry Jones XFL.
only person-
Matt Barkley is still in the league. Geno Smith is still in the league.
Yeah.
And Mike Glennon. But
Where's EJ Manuel these days?
yeah, he's on a couch somewhere. I don't know.
That was
But if you look at the
interesting.
2014 class, like you have
Jimmy G.
another bad class. Jimmy
is
Garoppolo
like the only one that
and Derek Carr.
we don't know if
So
we don't know if he's still
2 to
he's-
3 is like the average, I would say.
And then that one has a legit 6. It could have been 7 if Andrew Luck literally was not injured all the time.
Yeah. So if you look at like draft class, like you're really only gonna get maybe 3 at the most, maybe 4 if it's a good class. So if I had to name who's gonna be a starter from this class right now in 5 years, I would say it'd be Joe Burrow. It would be, and honestly, like this might be a hot take, but I think that's it. I don't think anybody else from this class is going to be a starter 5 years down the line. And I don't think Joe Burrow is going to be like a high-end starter. I really don't like this quarterback class. I think it's a good class in terms of volume. I do think there will be a lot of quarterbacks drafted. I think there are a lot of reclamation projects in this class. There are a lot of developmental projects in this class. I think that Tua needs some developing. I think that Herbert needs some development. I think Jordan Love needs some development. I think there are pieces, there are tools there that are there, but if you think about it, I don't know if it's like if they are for sure starters down the line. But this is still a very important weekend for them. I mean, because someone, it could really depend on who's going to get a chance to first. And I think nobody in the quarterback class has a bigger weekend ahead of them than Jordan Love.
I mean, that's who I
So,
am most excited to
Chris,
see.
I know you love Jordan Love, so I'm going to give you your chance to talk Jordan Love, to plead his case, to do whatever you need to do for why Jordan Love is going to be the player of the weekend.
I believe so because maybe the stats don't show it from last year. His stats look average, but his accuracy down the field is really good. And especially from 2 years ago. I mean, you watch him 2 years ago. He was really good. He had a Utah State team that won, I think, 11 games. Mm-hmm. He was balling out, and he throws the deep ball really well. He's good in the pocket. He has mobility, but he's not like a scrambling quarterback. I just like his attributes, and I just think he could have a Josh Allen-esque like pro day and just show off. Like Josh Allen showed off. He showed speed that not many people think he thought he had. He had a cannon for an arm, and he just wowed everybody. For a guy that Josh Allen threw for under 2,000 yards last year, and still got picked top 10 in the draft. Jordan Love, not Jordan Love again, average year, but if he shows off in the combine, I think he can jump to being the third. He could potentially be the third picked quarterback, which is potentially top 6.
I just read NFL.com's comparison, and it's a really spot-on comparison, actually. I actually do really like this. John knows what it is, so I just showed him while you're talking. But do you want to guess who it is? Like, who would you compare Jordan Love to? I'm going to ask you that.
Factor in everything.
Factor in everything.
Factor in everything.
Everything. Who is Jordan Love most like? Like,
oh my gosh.
And I want to see how close your answer is to what NFL.com says.
Oh, that's so...
Say it in the mic.
Is it a current one?
Yes.
He's currently playing right now.
He's currently playing right now. It's pretty, like... Yeah.
It's
pretty close.
Pretty close?
Take a guess. Who do you think he's like?
I'll pick Mitch Trubisky.
And I mean, look, Mitch Trubisky, that's actually not a bad comparison either. But what does NFL.com say? UCF's very own Blake Bortles, who also had a very good combine.
Mm-hmm.
And it wound up to him going number 3 overall. Should he have been the number 3 pick, though? don't know. It might have been a little bit too high.
Well, and that's my concern with Jordan Love is, you see, we get so enamored by his physical attributes in his strong arm that it's like we overlook the interceptions and the inaccuracies, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. A guy who's inaccurate usually, I will even go as far as say always, a guy who's inaccurate doesn't become accurate.
Through 17 picks this year.
Yeah,
I mean 20 touchdowns, 17 picks. I mean a year ago I think he was at 36 touch. I think a year ago he was at 36-6. And then last year is 20-17.
I feel like in the NFL,
because we make excuses for these guys. We say they're young, they'll get developed, but guess what? Then they don't, and they still are inaccurate.
In the NFL nowadays, you can get by, and you can actually be a quarterback for a very long time if you don't turn the ball over. You don't need to be the guy that throws for 400 yards every week. You don't need to be that guy that throws for 50 touchdowns a year. As long as you don't throw the ball to the other team. That will get you a long career. A Kirk Cousins, a Jimmy Garoppolo. Those kind of guys have long careers in the NFL ahead of them because they keep the ball in their team's hands. And that is what Jordan Love needs more of. And I think, yes, while the ceiling is incredibly high, the floor is also very low. Mm-hmm. Very boom bust, if you ask me.
He's one of those guys that literally could be a Pro Bowl every year, or he could be done in 2 or 3 years, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally what he could be.
I actually see a little more Kaepernick.
There's a lot of Kaepernick in him.
He's kind of got I think he's got a lot of Kaepernick's physical attributes, and he's got a little bit of that Kaepernick gunslinger mentality.
But I think what's good about the Combine is that it gives people like Jordan Love, who did not play Power 5 football, a chance to show off his talents with Power 5 players, with guys that have been tabbed for the NFL for years. And it gives him a chance to be on the same level. And I want to go a little bit more into Justin Herbert right now, because I actually think this is also a very important weekend for Justin Herbert as well. Herbert I think he has a chance to solidify himself as QB2 this weekend. I think he does. If he shows out, he's gonna have to do a lot to show out. Solidifying QB2 is really tough. I think he can be QB2. All that matters is that he's not picked before Tua, but I think he has a chance to really help his case if he wants to be QB2 in this draft. If he has a good weekend.
I don't think he can, because he can't. Because Tua is not working out this week, he can't outperform Tua. And I think
default.
I think you can't look past the film. He looks a little robotic. And then as far as like, they don't fall in love with his personality. He's more of a laid back guy, similar to Mariota. And I've heard a lot of Mariota comparisons with him.
NFL.com compares him to Carson Wentz.
Yeah, and I do see that a lot, and I've heard that. I see it. I just think he's a little more robotic, and I don't love the kid.
I mean, the only reason I could see Justin Herbert QB2 is if literally the team wants him. I don't think he's better than Tua, but if he will go ahead of Tua if the teams in front of them want Herbert.
But I mean,
over him.
could you see teams take Tua off of their draft boards?
No, I can't, because here's the problem: is like, you sit down with Herbert. He doesn't have that it factor, okay? He doesn't have the it factor where you fall in love with him and say, we want this guy to lead our team. Yeah. Tua does have that.
Yeah, Herbert, he's a guy you like, but there have been questions about leadership. Can he take command of a huddle? Can he lead a team to, like, can he be a leader? That has been a big question mark about him. Like, is he a leader? Because he can make the throws. He can make all the throws. He could do everything. It's consistency. He has been so inconsistent his entire career at Oregon. Was so inconsistent. He would have 2 or 3 game stretches where he looks, this dude looks like the best quarterback in the draft, and then he'll have a game or two, like against Arizona State, where he threw 2 straight interceptions, and just like, what are these throws? These are just bad reads, terrible decisions, and just like, I just think you can't do that in the NFL. You can't just be on and off and still be a starter in the league.
Now, are there guys that you think that are in that second tier of quarterbacks, the Jake Fromms, the Jacob Easons, who can really help their case this weekend, and who will? Who's going to show up this weekend and really so like possibly move into that.
Yeah, I think Jake Fromm.
Top
I
tier.
think Jake Fromm can. I think Jacob Eason will, just because I think Jacob Eason's going to show people that he's a lot more athletic than people think, and he's gonna run well. And then you're gonna say, oh, he's not just a big guy with a cannon. This guy can really move.
Yeah,
I actually thought he played very well at Washington last year for his he doesn't have a ton of talented receivers on his stands. He doesn't have a lot to throw to, and he played pretty well. And I like him. And there's a reason why he was such a high recruit out of Georgia.
yeah.
There's a reason why. I mean, he's talented. I mean, he's got all the he can make. He's. I feel like he has way more to earn than even some of these others like Herbert or Love. I think Eason has a lot because I think he is capable of getting into that top 20 if he shows off.
Yeah, it's certainly much more upside with Eason than Fromm.
Yeah.
Like I think you put Fromm on the Patriots, I say offensive rookie of the year. I can't say that with Fromm. I think like Fromm, you put him on the Patriots, he could keep the ship on course. Mm-hmm. Jacob Eason could light it up.
Last quarterback that we'll talk about, Jalen Hurts. What can he do this weekend to really help him out?
Oh man, I think he had more to gain from the Senior Bowl than he did this.
Yeah.
Because you got to see this kid be a quarterback. We know he's an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
So you can throw out the combine, that's great, but until we see that he is a quarterback, and he does say he won't work out at other positions.
I think though that with Jalen Hurts, because he had such a high profile, up and down, faced adversity story in college football. He won a national championship. He was benched in the, then the next year he was benched in the championship game. Then he transferred to another school and showed out. If Joe Burrow didn't exist, he would have been the Heisman probably. He would have won the Heisman. And he led them to a college football playoff berth. So it's like, he's definitely a kind of guy you want on your team. But when you only can roster 3 quarterbacks at most, it's a tough sell.
Well, and I'll say too, I think like going to the right situation could make his career. Like people passed up on Lamar Jackson, which by the way, I think Jalen Hurts was actually a better passer in college than Lamar Jackson was. But going to a good situation worked out pretty great for Lamar Jackson. So, and same thing with your guy Russell Wilson. Because like if people weren't sleeping on Russell Wilson so much, guess what? He goes to the Browns instead of Brandon Whedon. And, and now we're watching him play in the XFL. So I think there's a scenario where people sleeping on Jalen Hurts really he winds up in a better situation than say a Joe Burrow or a Tua Tagovailoa and goes on to have a great career.
What do you think about Jalen Hurts on the Ravens? Like taking over RG3's role possibly.
Yeah, I think
that could be a really interesting spot for him.
Yeah, I think it could, especially like we don't know if you have to have an insurance policy for Lamar Jackson because he runs. It's just that's always going to be a concern. So getting another guy who could run that similar type of offense, you don't have to change anything up schematically. Yeah, when you put a Jalen Hurts in there for him.
Let's move on to the running backs because I think the running backs are the one position group, and the receivers. I'll say the skill positions itself, running backs and receivers are the most exciting to watch from combine weekend. So the running backs in this draft, I don't think I can remember a deeper running back class than what we're seeing this year. This is an absolutely amazing running back class. I love this class. Cam Akers I'm just going to go alphabetical order of guys that I'm really excited to see. Cam Akers from Florida State, J.K. Dobbins, obviously, Clyde Edwards-Helaire from LSU, he could be interesting to watch as well.
Kind of reminds me of a Devontae Freeman.
A little bit. Zach Moss from Utah could surprise some people. LaMichael Pirine from Florida. There's just a long list. And DeAndre Swift from Georgia. My RB1, Jonathan Taylor. That's a lot of people that could really turn heads. So, which running back do you guys think can win? And win, air quotes, no one really wins the combine, but who's going to win the combine?
That is such a tough question.
Give me. We'll do it like this. We'll do it. I'll give you top 3. I'll give you 3. A win, place, show.
just strictly off the combine,
Yeah.
I think maybe I'd have to go with a Cam Akers.
Yep, that's
Because I think, first off, I think he's going to run a faster 40 than people are expecting. Because I think if we're factoring just straight line speed, he's a really great guy. Plus, the strength with him is just unreal.
He is. Yeah, he's really strong.
And you also need to look at the offensive line he ran behind.
Yeah.
That's one of the worst in the country. That was one of the worst offensive lines in the country.
Just ask those FSU quarterbacks.
And then he still would run for 1,000 yards. Like
Cam Akers, football comparison, NFL comparison, according to NFL.com, is Duke Johnson.
Yeah,
that's a good comparison.
I mean,
that's interesting.
It's weird. It's
I mean,
interesting.
I don't think he's as much of like a pass catcher as Duke is, but
I think of him as like he can catch, but I like him as a runner. Like I think
who would you compare him to?
Me.
I think he's more.
And look at the size. He's 5'11", so he's like 5'11", like 200 and something pounds. I mean,
ironically, I think he's like Carlos Hyde.
I mean, it's
like I know maybe it's the wrong
Carlos
Texan.
Hyde big time.
Maybe it's the wrong Texan they're comparing, but I don't know. I think I like Cam Akers. Like the thing is, I'm paying huge attention to these running backs this year because the Texans need a running back, and I am keeping an eye on the running backs this weekend because I think there's a lot that can. I think there's a lot of these guys that you can plug and play and they can get 1,000 yards. Like I really do think that. I think all of the guys that I just mentioned
he also reminds me of
can get you 1,000 yards.
And they're like you said, it's so deep. Like you asked me who my top running back in the draft was. It just depends on the day. I mean, it changes because it's like they all have a little different.
I'll make this a little easy for you, and I'll give you two guys: J.K. Dobbins or DeAndre Swift. Who's gonna give you a better combine?
I'm not as high on Dobbins.
Swift. I think Swift because I think he's more NFL ready. I like his NFL readiness. I think he will pass protect better than.
Mm-hmm. And also, Dobbins. I think Swift can be a bell cow. I see Dobbins as more of like a solid guy in a committee.
Yeah,
because
I have the comparisons for each of these guys from NFL.com. Do you guys want to guess?
I would say Swift, maybe like a Le'Veon.
Okay.
Dobbins, maybe. I want to say T.J. Yeldon, but I'm trying to think of somebody more high profile.
Yeah. Well, the guy that they mentioned on NFL.com is not a current player.
Who is it?
It's Dominic Williams, and he ran for 1,000 yards for the Texans when they were first coming up. He was like when Andre Johnson was drafted, like he was also drafted. And he had a pretty solid career for a little while. So that makes sense. That was for Dobbins. For DeAndre Swift though, it's Frank Gore.
Okay,
and that's a very good comparison. There's not many,
but a much better pass catcher than Frank Gore.
Yeah, Frank Gore was mostly just a ground pound guy.
But also, yeah, and also a lot of that has to do with like the way the NFL's changed. You know, like Frank Gore might have been a better pass catcher in his day if that was what you do. Mm-hmm. Now that's what you do.
And look, like think about this. Frank Gore is one of the last people from his class that's still playing. What kind of guy has a better career? Is it someone that's, a Hall of Famer that's played 15 years like Frank Gore has, or 20, like almost 20 years like Frank Gore has, or is it someone that has a really good 3 or 4 year period?
I like the longevity. I like longevity.
Like, would you rather have 3 or 4 excellent years?
I like the guy. I like the excellence. Like, think about like a Jamal Charles who was really, really great for like 3 years, and that seems to be the trend nowadays with running backs. Where like Brian Westbrook was the dude for like a solid 3-4 year period.
That's true.
It's very, very rare that we see a guy who just dominates.
Because that's the thing with running backs is their shelf life is very, very
the 1 year wonder,
short.
The 1 year wonder of Peyton Hillis.
Like,
that was a great year. That was a great year.
Or like Arian Foster, guys like that.
That was the dude, man.
Arian Foster, I think, had like 4,000 yard seasons, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, I mean, who do you? But like, also, if you think about it, like, I think. We're not going to see a lot of running backs drafted really high this year. In fact, I don't think we're going to see any in the first round. It's a very weird.
It depends. I think there could be one.
I think Jeremy's right because of the fact that you could get that guy in the second round. It's kind of similar to the running back draft of Le'Veon Bell, Eddie
The 2013
Lacy, and
draft,
Monte
yeah.
Ball, where it's like they're so interchangeable as
Yeah.
far as
When
their
you
quality
have-
that they all went second.
when you
round.
have a position that's as deep as the running back classes this year, it actually hurts the running backs as a whole because you don't get drafted as high. Because like, hey, if I'm getting 70 cents on the dollar, I might as well draft him in the third, fourth round.
That's why,
and get a guy like a defensive lineman that I might not be able to get in the fourth round.
That's why we're seeing Travis Etienne come back to Clemson and Najee Harris come
Yep.
back to Alabama.
It was too deep.
Because those are two NFL ready backs, but they said, "Oh, we can wait a year and make more money."
Yeah,
And
or lose more money.
But the thing is, why? I mean, hey, you go back, you're already, national championship contender. You go back on the big stage again.
Yeah.
I mean,
All right. So let's move on to the wide receiver class a little bit.
This is
Another very deep class, but I think a class that we're going to see affected in the first round. A lot of guys. I'm just going to list them alphabetically.
that's where money is big.
Money is being made here this weekend for these wide receivers. KJ Hamler, T. Higgins, Justin Jefferson out of LSU, Jerry Jeudy. Did you guys see the Jerry Jeudy interview where he was wearing the Star of David, the Jewish star?
I did
you
not
that?
see it. What did
Oh
you-
my goodness. Okay, so basically he was wearing his like a necklace, and it's his necklace of the Star of David, and they're like, "Oh, Jerry Jeudy, why are you wearing Star of David?" He's like, "Cause my last name's Judy, and people call me Jew, and this is the Jewish Star." So, it was so funny, but also like we like took a deeper dive into the necklace, and it actually also had a picture of his sister that passed away when she was a kid. So there's more meaning behind it, and I actually think it really helped Jerry Judy's stock because,
think so?
yeah, I actually think it did because it was like, like he showed off a little bit of humor, he showed off a little bit of emotion. He also showed off some grace because he like apologized for it when he didn't really need to apologize for it. He's basically apologizing to the Jewish people, and like as a Jewish person myself, I loved it. I thought it was great.
loved it?
Yeah, we're calling him the Goy Wonder. It's great. We love it. We love it.
All right.
It's fantastic.
Judaism.
Judaism. Are you worshiping Judaism, John?
I'm all in on Judaism.
We're all in on Judaism. So why are we all in on Judaism?
Well, for just best route, he's like Antonio Brown route running, but bigger than Antonio Brown.
Yep.
yeah. So
To me, he's head and shoulders the best wide receiver in this class, despite some people sitting in this room who have CeeDee Lamb over him.
So Chris, what is like a good comparison you think for Jerry Jeudy? Like just it can be any past, present. I don't care.
Past or present.
It can be either.
Ooh.
Or if you want me to help you out, we'll just do present players and.
We do present players.
Yeah, just give me a guy that's in the league right now that's similar to Jerry Jeudy.
Man.
And Whitley, you can chime in if you got one too.
This is
Other than Antonio Brown, which I think that's an interesting little thought. I do see that. I think he's bigger than Antonio Brown.
He's
bigger.
bigger.
So I don't think he's going to play a lot in the slot. I think you're going to see more of him on the outside. Like he has like I think
you're gonna see him everywhere.
I don't want to say Calvin Johnson size.
No, he's no Calvin Johnson.
no.
size,
He's a little
but
bit smaller.
He's I like
So NFL.com
maybe like an AJ Green.
NFL.com
AJ Green's a good one.
compares him to Santonio Holmes, another Steelers wide receiver.
It's a good one.
But
I like it. I mean, I do like the route running
I
of
think
him.
he's such a better route runner.
he's only 6'1". I thought he was like 6'3", 6'4".
He looks so long.
He does,
looks
and
so
maybe that's why I
long.
said Calvin Johnson.
Yeah.
He's definitely not Calvin Johnson's
No,
size.
but he can really get up there too.
Yeah.
I think that's where you see a lot of this Santonio Holmes is like he can really get up there for a
yeah,
jump ball.
and
But I
Santonio
think-
Holmes could do that as well.
Yeah, but I think route running, it's like right there with Antonio Brown and Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
Amari Cooper's actually would be. That's a good one. Julio Jones, route running wise, could do that. An ability to jump up and get for jump balls.
I would say better route runner than Julio.
Yeah, and he can also get up for jump balls, even at the 6'1" size. Which 6'1" is like it's not super short, but it's not super tall.
So who could challenge Jerry Jeudy and possibly overtake him as like wide receiver 1 this weekend?
Well, definitely CeeDee Lamb. I mean, a lot of people have CeeDee Lamb over Jerry Jeudy
Yeah.
right now.
Who do you take right now, CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy?
Judy, because I think CeeDee Lamb got a little exposed against LSU against better corners.
I don't know. I think CeeDee Lamb is legit. I think any other year, CeeDee Lamb is head and shoulders the top receiver, but Jerry Jeudy is just nasty. He's another breed.
I think CeeDee Lamb needs to get a little bigger. I think he's a little too small right now. He's great, but I think...
Oh, he's actually bigger than Jeudy.
Which is weird, because he doesn't look like it or something. I don't think he doesn't play like it. Jeudy plays bigger than he is.
Yeah, he does. So here... There's a lot of receivers going around. I remember when we did the last HTF mock draft, which another one will be coming out next week. We'll do one after the combine. But we saw a lot of receivers. There were KJ Hamler, T. Higgins, Laviska Shenault, Henry Ruggs, Jalen Reagor. There were a lot of guys.
Shenault is such a unique talent.
Yeah.
If you give Shenault the right system, he is going to have a great
career.
So
So who can help their case the best out of that second tier of receivers this weekend?
Ooh, I want to say Ruggs, but it's I don't think he can because he's already
he's already done
his third.
You're not going to see anything new from him.
Exactly. So I tend to think Shenault just because when you see him
we
run
didn't
it,
see him much this year.
Yeah, it's just he's so unique, sort of under the radar. Could maybe rise his stock similar to DK Metcalf did, where he's on the radar to surefire first round pick.
You know who I really like in this draft?
Who?
Antonio Gandy Golden. I love Antonio Gandy Golden. I think he's going to make himself a name for himself. Dude's 6'4", 223. He's compared to Devontae Parker on NFL.com. I think that and he's an FCS player. He's from Liberty. I think that he is someone that is not going to be a first-round pick, but I think he's going to be maybe
I've seen him
a third-round pick.
I've seen him in the second and third round.
Maybe a fourth-round pick. I think he could really surprise a lot of people this weekend. I think he's got the speed for it. I think the size is what's really going to help him this weekend. Stand out. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Antonio Gandy Golden does. I don't know why. There's just something about him.
Hey, that could be a combine warrior.
Yeah.
Right.
What about Gabe Davis? UCF Gabe Davis. We got it. We're UCF. We got it. We got to talk a little bit about UCF. So what Gabe
Some
Davis?
Some are calling him a first rounder.
Some are. He's been talking to a couple of teams. I think Philly and Denver have been talking to him. Yep. But what can we expect from Gabe Davis this weekend, guys?
I think when you do the drills with the receiver, you're gonna see really good receiving drills. But in terms of maybe speed and 40 time, I'm still not completely sold.
I think he might get outshined.
I think he's actually going to run a really, really great 40 because I think he's going to train specifically for the 40. Because
he needed to.
Yeah, he's going to train specifically for the 40. We know he's got straight line speed and he's got the right body type. So there's no reason he shouldn't run a great 40.
All right. So before we sign off, I want to give each of you a chance. What is the one thing you're looking forward to the most this weekend? What are you keeping your eyes on for the view? And what should the viewers be keeping their eyes on?
Oh, definitely the offensive lineman running the 40, as it is every year at the NFL Combine.
Yeah, that is one of the better parts of the Combine, I will say.
The best part.
Who's running the fastest 40? What will be the fastest 40 time?
Of anybody?
Of any offensive lineman.
Oh, any offensive lineman?
Yeah. How many offensive linemen are running under 5?
Dude, oh man.
I think Tristan Wirfs.
I wish I could pick none of them. You
think
Tristan Wirfs is going to run under 5 seconds.
All right, let me. I kind of want to look back. I wonder if it will let me on this link. Maybe not, but here, let's see. Fastest offensive line Combine 40 results or something like that. All right, how fast can a line? Okay, so this is last year. The fastest 40 was from Eric McCoy, ran 4.89 at the Combine. Chris Lindstrom, I believe he was a first-round pick, ran a 4.91. Garrett Bradbury, another first-round pick, ran a 4.92. Andre Dillard, another first-round pick, ran a 4.96. So that's 4 guys that ran a sub-5. Wow. Are we getting below? So we'll go 4.5 over-under.
Under.
Or 3.5 over-under.
Going under.
Going under.
I'm going. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go under.
Under. Jesus, y'all. Jesus.
I don't think this is the fastest offensive line class either.
To be honest, this is kind of like, I mean, I'm not saying it's like a bad class, but it's not as.
They're not a fast class. They're never a fast
There's
class.
lots of great big talent, just not quick. Maybe,
All right.
maybe the quickest.
So, Chris, what are you looking forward to the most this weekend?
We haven't talked about DBs.
Yeah, we have not.
We have not talked about DBs. I mean, we need to keep an eye on DBs because, I mean...
DBs go Sunday. Neville Clark goes Sunday.
Neville Clark.
UCF's Neville Clark. What does Neville need to do? What does Neville need to do in order to help himself this weekend?
Just completely ball out. You mean you just got to ball out.
Straight
I mean, hey, that's what Shaquem Griffin did, and I honestly think that Shaquem's combine performance really helped him get drafted.
That got him in the 5th round. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's good.
And the draft isn't the combine's not always about the first rounders. We did talk a lot about first rounders, but there's a lot of guys that are trying to get drafted, change themselves from an undrafted to a drafted.
You can go from undrafted to like 4th round. That's extremely good.
Yeah, or you're going from undrafted to making a practice squad. Like, these guys are fighting for their NFL lives, and this is one of the biggest steps. So it's more than just that, and that's what I think I'm really looking forward to the most is, guys are really gonna have a chance to really make their mark. It's one of their last chances to really do so, and they're gonna fight. Like, these guys really work hard, and it's fun to watch. Mm-hmm. There's something intriguing about watching guys go for their dreams, and that's what the combine's about, in my opinion. And that's why I think it does as well as it does, because it's not like, I think at first it was seen as more of like a times this, how fast can you run a cone shuttle? How fast can you run a 40? What's your routes? What are your running routes like? Can you, how fast can you do this X drill? How fast you can do Y drill? But at the end of the day, like, these guys are, playing for jobs. Like, this is a job interview. It's a pretty intense job interview. It's shown all over the country. It's shown in front of all these, scouts, and it's intimidating. But these guys get the chance, and it's going to be pretty interesting. We'll be watching, and we'll be analyzing as well. So be sure to catch that out on Monday's show of Hitting the Field. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel right now so that you can get all the HTF content you so desperately crave. Hitting the Field, might I add, the UCF spinoff show is out for this week. We have Kyle Partain talking with Jessica Tucciaroni to talk about UCF basketball's big collapse on Saturday against Tulane, as well as UCF baseball clean sweep over Auburn. So a little bit of good, a little bit of facts. You get the facts of life. I think that's how the quote works. I don't know. We'll see. It kind of makes sense. It makes sense in my head, so that means it makes sense to everybody, of course. And you can also check out Hitting the Crew. We had last week's episode with China Davis and Christopher Wolf, very own Christopher Wolf in here. So go check those out on our YouTube channel and our Apple Podcast. You can also go check us out there. Be sure to also follow us on Instagram and Twitter for all things HTF throughout the week. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Undefeated chance, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in a field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. The reason